about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics.
Harambe YouTube, it is Charles here, and today we're going to be doing another edition of A Second Look, where I take a second look and possibly a second review of a book that I've read previously and give you my thoughts on it now that time has passed. This book I have not done a review on yet because it predates my channel. This was released in 2022 from Image Comics. It is called Hitomi. I remember this distinctly because it's one of the first books I ordered from my friends at coffeeandacomic.com. Go check them out, coffeeandacomic.com. Great shipping rates and wonderful service, plus free complimentary coffee. But anyway, back to the story here. It takes place in feudal Japan, and it's very beautiful, very violent and brutal. Give you a little bit of the preamble here. In feudal era Japan, a drifter with no prospects begins training in secret under Yasuke, a disgraced once-feared warrior, as she struggles to find her place in society entrenched in discrimination and violence. Chapter 1, Ghost. Now, one interesting thing about this is Yasuke is actually a character, a person from Japanese history that I was learning about at the time. He was known as the Black Samurai. I believe he was taken to Japan by a Spanish monk and left to train under this samurai. So I don't know the story 100% off the top of my head, but he is, a figure that is well known in Japan and getting more widely known throughout the rest of the world. And when I first subscribed to the book, I had no idea that Yasuke was a character. This, of course, is a fictionalized story based on the real individual here, but we meet Hitomi, and she is a very young wanderer seeking out Yasuke, this black samurai who she explains to anybody who she comes across is the man that killed her family and actually left her alive. And she is seeking revenge against him. And she's directed to this monk on this mountaintop who is insinuated to have nefarious intentions, but is actually a stand-up guy. And he tries to dissuade her from pursuing Yasuke, but he tells her what he knows and learns her story, and he mentions karma and how things will work out for her. And we cut to a different part of Japan, and we see Yasuke in a sumo match getting worked over. This is much older than the Yasuke we meet in Legend. But, he is an older, disgraced, retired samurai, sumo wrestling, doing what he can, trying to scrape together any living he can to get back to Africa. And he's working for somebody here. I didn't even catch the name because it's not an important character. I'm just going to keep it real with you, but he's working as kind of a servant for this gentleman, wheeling his cart, and kind of doing other odd jobs. And we cut back and forth, to see where Yasuke is now and find out more about Hitomi. And she comes across another vagabond, if you will, fishing around her age, and they kind of connect up and travel together a little bit. She continues to tell her story about being orphaned and her quest for revenge against Yasuke, this mysterious black samurai. And in their travels, they stumble across a samurai who is escorting a nobleman. And they barely escape with their lives, but then the other young man that's with her finds out that she has stolen some of the samurai's sake. And so immediately that ups the stakes because, they were barely survived the first encounter. And now surely this samurai was not going to let, them rob him of his sake. And so eventually the samurai is in pursuit, tracks him down, and he actually tracks Hitomi down to a river, a frozen river. And as he pursues her, she falls in and is left for dead. And so we see her at this moment of peril toward the end of the book. You think that may be the end of it. But no, she is actually rescued, pulled out of the river by a hand, a black hand, by the hand of Yasuke, who was on his way to his own village and sees this girl in distress under the ice, pulls her out, warms her up, and kind of leaves her in the side of the road next to a fire to warm up. And it's, interesting of how she was searching high and low for him. And he had no idea who this young person was. But he ended up saving her life. And, he mentions karma. And it's, like I said, it's very clever how things work up of where she's looking for him and he seems to be looking for some kind of peace and maybe even some kind of reconciliation with his past. And their past just happened to cross. And I have read the whole series. It's a 5-book series, a very good series. And as it goes forth, it is very emotional, brutal, and very entertaining. And the art throughout the whole entire book is beautiful. The landscapes, you the way it's drawn, you can almost feel the coldness of the snow and the desolation. And you can see the anger in her eyes and the passion. And getting this older version of Yasuke is interesting. A guy who was not this legendary fierce samurai, but an old man in a foreign country trying to make up for the sins of his past and get back home. So very, very good book. I highly recommend you get it, especially if you can find it in trade paperback. That'd be the best way to get it because, these single issues with the age of them are going to be a little bit harder to track down and a little bit more costly. But if you can, get a hold of the Hitomi trade paperback from Image Comics. It's a beautiful book, very well written, very emotional, and the action scenes are great. And what I remember about the rest of the series, and I'm going back and rereading it, but everything that happens is a lesson, and you see that you get to see Hitomi and Yasuke's relationship go from one of hostility to one that's almost familial. And there are lots of hard lessons, but everything adds up to make Hitomi who she is meant to be. And I think by the end of it, give Yasuke a little bit of closure. So see you guys next time. Until then, keep reading them books. I'm out.